Welcome to the second chapter of the Book of Nehemiah, a man who we were introduced, chapter 1, who was wailing or crying over the condition of Jerusalem as he was in Babylon, someplace, or in Susa, actually, I believe in Persia, when he heard about how bad things were. And it says, continues, and it came to pass in the month Nisan, the 20th year of Artaxerxes. Now remember, I was mentioning before in Ezra and here, let's scratch, I don't know if I should scratch it out or not, because I don't think it is Artaxerxes. I'm going to underline it instead. Artaxerxes, we'll see in the next book, Esther, where the word Artaxerxes is actually written in Greek. So I would think they would have done the same thing here, but they use a different word, Artaxerxes, and the 20th year, if it was the Artaxerxes, it doesn't make sense because Artaxerxes, the first, was way down here, 485, where if Jerusalem was in tatters, and this was right after when Cyrus sent a decree to go and rebuild it, probably in the 20th year, it would have been the 20th year, I believe, of Darius. And Artaxerxes is not a name as far as I can see. To me, it means a ruler, the king. That it wasn't his proper name. Now, this is my take on it. So I think it would have been Darius, that the wine was before him. And I took the wine and gave it to the king, and there was not another before him. So he's all by himself with the king, and this is a powerful man in the world, one of the most powerful men in the world. It would be like today being in front of the president of the United States or Russia or China, and being there by yourself with just you and him. And the king said to me, "Well, why is your face in a sorry state? You're not content." I think it was in a negative way that he said this. Now, he's got a dagger there, so you go down at the bottom, and it says, Araston. So that doesn't help us a whole lot, but why are you not content, or why are you not well? For is this not, unless there is a sorrowful cardias, a heart? So the king apparently could tell there was something wrong with this man, and it was a sorrow in his heart, something going on. And when, I guess, the person that was being in front of the king or somebody important, you wouldn't want to upset the king, and you wouldn't want to show any emotions. The English were very good at that. You look at the old English movies when they had the servants and so far, and if anybody would even make fun of them, the servant, or say anything bad or scold them or whatever, they really didn't show emotion. That was part of being a servant. And this is probably what this man was, just to not do nothing but to pour the wine and walk backwards away from him. And but yet the king picked up something, and so maybe it was like, well, now if you're at the aim of the monarch, rather than just doing your job, then it's a scary place to be, because if he gets mad at you, he could have you executed, just like the king of Pharaoh did with the baker and the wine taster, and I'm not sure which. I think it was the wine taster. Was it the baker? Anyway, so I was afraid exceedingly much. Then I said to the king, O Vasilef, live into the Aeon. Why should my face not be sorry for the city? The house of the sepulchres of my fathers was made desolate, and its gates were devoured by fire. So he spills out his reason for being in a sorrowful state, having heard about what's going on, taking a chance, and he told them, And the king said to me, well, for what is this you seek? What would you like? What can I do? Well, that's a nice change instead of wanting to kill him. And I prayed to the Lord God of heaven. So I'm sure he didn't get down on his knees in front of the king, but he's to the Lord, well, here I am, Lord. I'm in this place. I've told him this. Help. And I said to the king, well, if it be upon the king for good, and if your servant shall seem good before you, so as to send him to Judah, to the city of the sepulchres of my father, then I will rebuild it. If you send me, then I'll rebuild it. And the king said to me and his concubine sitting next to him, well, I thought it was by himself originally, but apparently there was another person there, his concubine. For how long, unless this was a little bit later when he called them in, I don't know. For how long will you be going? And when will you return? And it was good before the king. So apparently he told him, and he sent me, and I gave to him a confirmation. And I said to the king, if it be upon the king for good, well, let him give to me epistles, the letters to be read aloud, to the chief rulers on the other side of the river. Now, these were not the Jews. These were as we find out, mainly the Samaritans, the people that were taken other parts of the world by the Assyrian kings and brought into that area of Israel and resettled there, and they weren't Jews. And so let him give me the letters so as to allow me to pass until I come unto Judah. So he'll have the permission, the written letter, and so forth as he goes through all this territory. And a letter, oops, wrong one here, to Asaph, the keeper of the garden, the paradisu. We have a paradise is a formal garden, not a vegetable garden, but a formal garden that you find in a palace, which is to the king, so as to give to me wood to roof the gates of the palace of the house, and for the wall of the city, and for the house for which I shall enter unto it. And the king gave to me by the good hand of God upon me. So now he gets all the building materials, he gets the letters to go back, and off he goes. And I came to the chief rulers on the other side of the river, other side of the Jordan, apparently I would guess, and gave to them, unless it was the Euphrates, and I gave to them the letters of the king, which gave him permission. And the king sent with me archegos, chiefs, dynameos, dynamite comes from that, the force, and horsemen, and son of Alat, the Aroni, the Horonite, heard of it, and Tovias, the bondman, the Ammonite, and it was a bad thing to them that it happened. Why? And they were grieved that a man comes to seek good to the sons of Israel. The Jews were all taken away and destroyed. Few were left. And these people, the Samaritans, were probably over them, maybe used them even as slaves of some sort, put them in a bondage. We're not really told, but it was in the last chapter, it did said they were in bad state, in a sorrowful state. So they were not happy to see somebody coming to help them. And I came unto Jerusalem, and I was there 3 days. And I rose up at Niktos, night, nocturnal comes from that, I and a few men, oligi, oligarch, a rule of a few, oligi, with me. And I reported not to a man, for God put it into my heart to do this with Jerusalem. So he goes out with a few men to check all the things out in Jerusalem. And he didn't tell anybody there that he was doing this. The Alpha Apingila has to do with a message, and here it's a report. Whenever you see the Alpha and the Gamma, Gamma. And there is not a beast with me except the beast which I mounted upon it. And I went, probably a donkey, and I went forth through the gate of Gai at night to the mouth of the spring of the Dracontas, the dragon. Now, I don't have a map in all these different places. Maybe I'll get that, and maybe I should have put that together in this video seminar. But then he went to the dung gate, and I was studying the walls of Jerusalem having been torn down, and her gates having been consumed by fire. And the gates, the wooden gates, were burnt up inside of these gatehouses. It was open to anybody to come in. And I went by the gate of the fountain and into the pool of the king, apparently the palace area that the king of Israel had. That would have been fairly close to the temple. And there was not a topos, topography as a derivative for that, a place for the beast to underneath me to pass. So, and I was ascending by the rushing stream at Niktos, the Kidron, stream of Kidron, probably, Kidron Valley, and was studying the wall, and was at the gate of the ravine, which that stream was at, and I returned. And the ones guarding did not know why I went and what I was doing. So there were people apparently watching over everything, and they didn't know anything about what he was or what he was doing. And to the Jews and to the priests and to the important ones and to the commandants, and to the rest of the ones doing the works until then, I reported not. So he's doing this all in secret. Then I said to them, you see this wickedness in which we are in it? How Jerusalem is desolate and its gates were given to fire? Come, let's build throughout the wall of Jerusalem, and we shall not be any longer for scorn. Let's build it back up. Let's take charge again and be powerful. Now, it's pretty amazing because all these peoples that were taken from their areas throughout the places that the kings of the Assyrians took and brought these people into Israel, all these peoples were gone. The Ammonites, you don't hear about Ammonites today or Gibeonites and all these different peoples, but yet the Jews rebound. They rebounded here, and they rebounded in 1948, came back to Israel. They don't give up. So they stay together and hope for the best and go through a lot of scorn. And I reported to them the hand of God, which is good upon me, and the words of the king, which he spoke to me. So he tells them about the king sending him and giving him the good things to build the temple. And they said, let's arise and build. And their hands were fortified for the good. They wanted to do it. So, yep, and they're all excited about rebuilding everything. The king said it's okay, so let's do it. And Sanballat, the Aroni, heard, and Tobias, the bondman, the Ammoni, and Gesam, the Aravi. And they laughed out loud at us and disdained us for what they're doing. It's like, these guys are not, what are they doing? They're going to rebuild this? They can't do anything, and they're useless people. What are they going to do? And more or less disdaining them. And they said, what is this thing which you are doing? Or is it that you are defecting against the king? And I returned to them a word and said to them, the God of heaven, he shall prosper the way for us. It's not us, it's going to be the God of heaven. And I believe Israel is a kingdom. It's not a kingdom, it's a country again. In 1948, God has allowed it to happen for a purpose. And he has prospered the way. Now, it doesn't mean everything after this is going to be good. They were attacked after they rebuilt Jerusalem by the Greeks and others and the Romans, and finally destroyed again. And for 2,000 years they were gone. And I believe that similar thing is going to happen again, where the beast will take over Jerusalem and set up his rule there. But right now, Israel is prospering, even though it is being threatened by, instead of these three men, by other countries, by the Muslim countries led by Persia, Iran, where ironically this king was the king of the Persians, sending them back to build it, and now the main enemy towards Israel is the Persian Muslim leader. And it continues, and we, his bondmen, are pure, and we shall arise and build. And to you, that is, those men, the Samaritans, there is not a portion, nor a judicial right, nor a memorial in Jerusalem. You have no part in this. You don't have the right from the king, nor is there a memorial. I'm not exactly sure of the memorial of the paternal order of the fathers in ruling Jerusalem, having this history. And so he tells them that they don't have anything to do with this rebuilding. So chapter 3 will continue, and the rebuilding of Jerusalem and who the peoples were that are rebuilding it. Hope you'll join us in chapter 3 and continue. And God bless.